Professor Dr. Mervat Madkour, our political and economic analyst and expert. Thank you very much for being with us, ma'am.
Thanks to be with you again, Nermin.
And we are going to start from Al-Ahram, Dr. Mervat, where we read, the president warns from attempts to store the goods to increase their prices. The president highlights the importance of executing the decisions of the Investment Supreme Council. This came during a meeting with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, which was attended by Prime Minister Engineer Sharif Ismail, the Governor of the Central Bank, the Ministers of Defense, of the Interior, Foreign Affairs, Finance and Supply, in addition to the head of the Audit Authority. The same issue is tackled in Al-Akhbar from front page. The president calls on the government to provide the necessary commodities and intensify the monitoring of the markets. Al-Sisi says easing the measures for the investors and incentives for the procedures of the food materials. Each time I'm listening to the directives of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi after such meetings, I ask myself, all these things are well known, and
why don't they do it on their own?
Without just listening to President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi saying that?
Yes, okay. You are very correct, Nermin. You always tackle the problems that really, stand out. And as you said, and I always keep saying, you remember on this program, why is it that the president is the one who initiates everything? It's really too much stress on the president. It's not his job, mind you. Okay? Yes, it is his job to coordinate, to do some, saying where to directing the government in one way or another.
Yep.
But not really to do this heavy duty. And mind you, the problem is that we took the decision to float or liberate, and we did not study what are the side effects and how we can eliminate it or fight it. Nermin, that was the issue. That was the essence. We take the decision, and then the repercussions, we pay dearly for it. And why is it, though, mind you, the president himself has directed everybody, even the parliament itself, to put into consideration the low income brackets. And apparently nobody pays attention to what he's saying.
Is it nobody pays attention, or they do not think out of the box to know how to deal with problems? Because, for example, let me say my question or my comment in other words. The president calls on the government to provide the necessary commodities and intensify the monitoring of the markets. Is these things to be said to the cabinet?
No,
the president highlights the importance of executing the decisions of the Investment Supreme Council.
You should have a strong government beside a strong president.
This is what I'm talking about. I mean, the problem is that they do not know how to do it.
No,
or they
had you have
a
strong government, things would have looked differently. Have you had a president of the Central Bank of Egypt who has had a vision, things wouldn't have gone that bad. Things have been left to go that bad so that you wouldn't have another alternative but to look for a loan, okay? As if everybody is constructing the situation to lead to only this as a solution, which is horrible. And this has had the outcome was what? To liberate the pound.
Great.
And this has had what? To put too much pressure on the low income brackets. You are losing the middle class.
By the way, you are mentioning the middle class, and my dear director warned me not to mention the middle class once again. But regarding
why? We are all middle class.
We are all middle class, but I think that we are paying the price even more than the low income.
You think?
I think so, because we are all the time.
It's like a wave, Nirveen.
Nirveen,
it's like a wave.
No, I mean
it wouldn't reach you until it comes to the law.
I just want to add one
First.
point here. I'm not defending the cabinet. I'm not defending
you shouldn't.
The ministers. I'm not defending the executives in general. But if you are going to ask any of them about what you've kindly mentioned of being that strong or thinking about the repercussions of any decisions or stuff like that, they would say one thing. If you are wearing my shoes, if you knew what's going on around
I would have
us,
done many things differently.
You would have done the same.
No. The problem is, if I had a vision, if I had a different path, not the same path that, mind you, unfortunately, what is happening right now is exactly a remake of the time of Mubarak, if you want the truth. Why are they doing that to the president? Why?
These questions, of course, we need answers, but I think that the situation on the ground is going to have the answers.
I hope so.
From Al-Ahram, we read, Mehleb heads Egypt's delegation to the Francophone Summit. President Advisor for National Projects, Ibrahim Mehleb, headed Egypt's delegation to the 16th Francophone Summit being held in Madagascar.
That's a good thing. You know why?
Okay.
Because of the diversity.
Yeah.
Because the whole of Africa, even the whole of the Middle East, was divided among whom? The Brits and the French.
Yeah.
So really, you cannot lean only or put into your consideration only the English-speaking countries.
Yes, sure.
Okay? You have really to go to the Francophone countries.
And Mehleb's French is great, by the way.
Yes, I know. Yes. And this is the right man for the right job.
This is exactly what I wanted to say. The choice of Mehleb to lead or to represent Egypt, to head the Egyptian delegation in Madagascar.
Definitely not Sharif Ismail.
Yes.
That's the president's initiation.
And to the meeting of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was visiting a Norwegian foreign minister. Al-Sisi expresses his wish to develop cooperation with Norway in the fields of shipping, port management, and the energy projects. Once again, the word diversifying, it's here, ma'am.
Not just like that. Look at it. It's Norwegian, the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
This is, I'm telling you, the president is a pioneer in foreign policy. Yeah. Along with Sameh Shukri.
Yep.
You are moving from from Africa to Europe, not neglecting anybody. Moving to the east, to China.
And to Eastern Europe.
To Singapore.
In addition to the big powers.
Yes. Why is it? The Kazakhstan, for example, the Ukraine, for example. Why is it like that? Because we are giving way. And Spain and Portugal.
Yep.
Why is it that this great job done and performed by the president and Sameh Shukri? It's because he is really interested into developing good foreign relations for Egypt so that I can lean when I need someone on someone.
And to increase
not just this, to increase my investments.
Yes, sure.
Or investors. And to increase the volume of trade.
Amen to that.
Okay.
But I just wanted to speak a little bit about the specialities here. For example, when I knew that Norway is significant when it comes to shipping and port management, then
anything to do with
education,
even fish industry.
Yep. In another place, then I would exchange.
It's very important because we are surrounded by sea.
Yes.
Okay. West and north. And the Nile River.
Yes,
so, and they have brilliant fishing industry.
Yep.
Okay, and they are as well what developed and advanced agriculturally, as well as, of course, in, technologically, as you mentioned.
Yep. And to some regional news, and we return to Al-Ahram, where we read from its front page the results of the elections of the Kuwaiti parliament on Sunday. The Kuwaitis voted in the parliamentary elections. Kuwaiti turned out in large numbers on Saturday for the first election contested by the opposition in nearly 4 years, amid fresh disputes over cuts in subsidies due to the falling oil revenues. We have more details.
Kuwaitis turned out in large numbers on Saturday for the first election contested by opposition in nearly 4 years. According to state-run Kuwait television, turnout was high, with some polling stations reporting that 80% of eligible voters had cast their ballots by the time polls closed at 1700 GMT. Vote counting started at some centers. However, final results are not expected before Sunday. While Kuwait's 2 previous elections yielded poor turnout due to opposition boycotts, voters said they were encouraged by seeing their candidates running this time around. Kuwait has an elected parliament with powers to hold ministers to account. This is the 7th general election in a decade. Against the backdrop of discontent among Kuwaiti citizens over mounting cutbacks in the cradle-to-grave welfare system they have long enjoyed as a slump in world oil prices hits government revenues. The Emir dissolved the last parliament after MPs called for ministers to be grilled over the cuts to state subsidies. The opposition is fielding 30 candidates among a total of 293 hopefuls, including 14 women. However, others said they could accept a slight rise because of dwindling oil revenues. The election comes with Kuwait facing its most acute budget crisis in years.
Welcome back. Last week, I've read about the Russian parliament approving a draft regarding the budget deficit in Russia. And in Kuwait, there are the fresh disputes over cuts in subsidies due to falling oil revenues. Yes. Meaning that when it comes to economy, even in the wealthy countries or the big countries, it's also there. So it's a global phenomenon. I cannot limit this to a special country or a special region.
No. You are very correct, Nermeen. I want to tell you, at one point of time, Kuwait has had the highest per capita income for anywhere in the world. Okay? And now it's suffering. Saudi Arabia is suffering. The whole Gulf area, mind you, is suffering. And intentionally or non-intentionally, Daesh has created that with, of course, the guidelines of the United States to make countries such as Russia and the Gulf area to become poor. They will never become poor. But you know,
the just not to enjoy the same luxury or the same
waived
powerful economies.
No, the intention to bring them down is there. If it will not work with the oil prices falling, it will be through the Justa. And it was really meant for Saudi Arabia, definitely. Okay, so I'm really passing a word to the ears of the rulers of the Gulf. Beware, because Iran might have a free hand to invade the Gulf area soon. So we really have to come together as Arab nations and know that we cannot survive alone. And in particular, Saudi Arabia, giving money to Ethiopia, I don't mean let them develop, but not in order to show my anger towards Egypt. I finance the building of the Renaissance Dam. Okay, it should really be warned. Why? Because you cannot really fight alone in Yemen and then stand to the Iranians. You cannot do that.
Of course. Taking you to Al-Ahram, where we read it's about Syria this time. The Syrian army liberates 25 villages in Aleppo, or Halab. The Syrian army said it had taken control of an important district in rebel-held eastern Aleppo on Saturday, after fierce fighting with the militants blaming intense airstrikes and lack of hospitals for their collapsing front line. When this issue, when this long war in Syria is going to end?
Look, Nermeen, I believe, okay, and take my word like this, okay? A world war is on the grounds of Syria.
Yes.
World war going over there. It's between, of course, Russia and the United States and its allies, whoever these may be. But everybody is claiming that it is pro the Syrian, while the Syrian people are definitely losing their lives every single day. Okay, is that being what? It's a homicide. It's a genocide. It's whatever you wanted to.
Amen to all what you're saying. But now it's Aleppo and Mosul.
Having a hypocrite like Erdogan.
Okay. This is another story.
Okay, you have a hypocrite and a lunatic, both.
Thinking about the caliphate till the moment, I cannot describe him more than that. But in just 1 minute, regarding Mosul and Aleppo. Mosul and Aleppo are now the key words in the battle against Daesh. Do you think with retaking Mosul and retaking Aleppo, the case is going to be finished?
No.
A yes or no question?
No.
Then let's go to Cuba.
Cuba.
And
losing Castro.
Cuba losing Castro. He was 90. I hope.
Regardless of his age.
Sure.
Just in very few words.
He's an icon, more or less.
He is not just an icon, the problem is that this is a time where you had too many great leaders in the world. Like he was looking at Gamal Abdel Nasser, believing that he is the icon of freedom and liberation, okay, and independence, and he was the same thing for South America. He will be remembered by everybody who really loves freedom.
I called him the Mandela of the Americans, by the way.
Exactly, and you have had with him at the same time Che Guevara. Okay, so we cannot forget one like him, though at one point of time he was about to cause with the Bay of Pigs a world war.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? But nevertheless, he was the one who took, who nationalized all the American companies in Cuba and distributed them to the peasants and the workers. Doesn't this remind us of what Gamal Abdel Nasser did back in the 50s and the 60s? Yes, it does.
I think we were the pioneers in many things.
Yes.
A yes or no question, because I do have only 20 seconds.
Okay.
Wisconsin agrees to a recount of the votes of the U.S. presidential elections. Is America going into a new era of democracy?
Their democracy.
Their democracy.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Mervat Madkour, our political and economic expert, Professor Dr. Mervat Madkour, thank you very much for your input, ma'am. Have a very good day.
You too.
Right after the short break, we are going to be back with the remaining part of our breakfast show, so stay tuned.
Be the first to know